Welcome to Project Comedy, a podcast by and for military veterans doing stand-up comedy, turning military banter into quality stand-up comedy acts. We might be veterans, but our comedy aims to get everybody laughing.
The snowflakes are in charge, aren't they? You're not allowed to tell jokes anymore because you're going to offend somebody. And offending somebody these days is a greater crime than murder. If the likes of Dave Chappelle and Jimmy Carr are threatened with being cancelled, what the hell are they going to do to a bunch of veterans that are stupid enough to bring their military banter to the stage? A comedian gets slapped at the Oscars for telling a joke? What's going to happen when woke civvies here have what we have to say? It's all doom and gloom. Or is it? Is the circuit really that bad? Are there rules laying out what you can and can't tell a joke about? Do comedians get cancelled for the types of jokes they tell? To ensure a balanced episode, we're going to ensure that we're completely politically correct. We're engaging our most woke personalities and will only be discussing comfortable subjects that cannot cause offence to anyone listening. Are we fuck? There's a reason why this podcast is marked as explicit content. We're comedians. Comedy comes from the unexpected and occasionally pushing boundaries. But what are those boundaries and why, if at all, should we respect them? To describe what we've seen, I'm joined by my fellow Project Comedy ambassadors, Gabriel Devil's Anus Murphy, Jamie Captain OCD Johnson, Dan Part-Timer Wright, and I'm Jay, my Wi-Fi's buggered again, Saunders. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
And yeah, because Dan's so far behind, he'll need to listen to the previous episode to find out why Gabe is Devil's Anus.
Yeah, I have no idea what since the last episode to missing the middle episode to this episode. I have no idea what happened. Or
it's nice to know who your friends are, mate.
Not much, but apparently I am
exactly
the devil's G spot, which is understandable. I mean, that also depends on whether the devil's a guy or a girl.
There's a point. There's a point in that. We're talking cancel culture, or if we self-edit ourselves or self-censor ourselves. Have any of you actually been criticised for a joke that you've told?
I have never been criticised for a joke. But then I don't think I'm that big to be criticised for a joke. But I think if it gets to the point where
you must be a good 90 plus kilos, game.
Yeah, oh mate, I am way over 90 plus kilo. I'm shockingly over 90 plus kilos. No, I think it's a point that if it's almost like a badge of honor if you are getting to the point where people are have issues about your joke. It's like a bit of a thing. Like, oh, I've made it that big that people have an issue over my joke. But equally, why the fuck have you got an issue over a fucking joke?
Yeah, I've been criticised by audiences and by bookers. You'll remember ages ago, I had this routine about seeing too much cleavage in Tinder profiles, especially in ladies of my age. And Dan, you gave me a beautiful punchline for it. Ladies of my age, please don't show your cleavage on Tinder because it looks like an elephant's butt crack. And I ended up with a couple of audience members saying I was being misogynistic and I was being hateful towards mature women. And I'm there going, I
say they're being hateful towards elephants.
But no one cares about the elephants, do they?
In it. I bet if it was a white rhino, they'd be fucking fuming.
But I also got told off by bookers by saying, no, I'm sorry, mate, that's punching down. You don't punch down at something that somebody might feel vulnerable about. And again, my defence is, well, if you feel vulnerable about it, don't stick it in my bloody face.
So what is this, Jay, just stop there a minute. What is all of this punching up and punching down? It doesn't make sense to me. Because I see all human beings as the same.
Punching up is, you can it's fair game to punch up, which is have a go at somebody that's better advantaged than you, has got a more privileged life than you, and what have you. Whereas punching down it's the intent to belittle people less important than you.
So I can't joke about anyone then, because literally everybody's less important than me.
mate, you seriously need to get a mirror.
That's brilliant.
You need a mirror if you think everybody's less important.
I, as a white man,
thinks he's more important.
No, that's just. And in fairness, like, who the fuck are we to make comedy about anything?
Exactly.
Like say, if you're going on the line of punching down, we are all white men.
I mean, I take it to the point of it's down to your intent. If your intent is to hurt somebody, hurt a group of people, and what have you, that's punching down.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I don't believe any comedy should have intent to hurt, only intent to laugh and get a laugh at.
Comedy is a thing where it's meant to make people laugh. If it's making fun of people, then when we're not systematically abusing them, it's just that it's a thing. I am a Catholic white fella, from Ireland, and I had the whole issue with the abuse bit.
Yeah.
So I'll do the whole sexual abuse bit.
There's no abuse that happens in Catholic Sunday school at all, is there? I mean, priests are 100%.
Because it's purity of sin.
No, but honestly,
like the irony of irony is like homosexual relations is a sin.
But priests love little boys.
I can't remember.
The priest is showing me the issue of sin.
So is it punching down because they're a little boy and punching up because they're a son of God, or?
Don't bloody ask me. I mean, I asked the question of three fellow comedians.
No, but on a serious note though, like everybody is their most important. Like everybody is the most important to them. Do you know what I mean? No matter how caring or sharing you think you are, everybody is selfish to a degree, and everybody's most important person is themselves.
But I think it comes to the point of punching down is. So the Englishman, Irishman, Scotsman jokes, you don't play those anymore because they are playing down to lazy stereotypes.
That's
we don't punch down that way.
You see, but the lazy stereotypes are still the lazy stereotypes. These things still are there. The vast majority of the people who work on construction sites are Irish people. The vast majority of the people who are drunk in bars will be Irish people who are probably working on your fucking flat.
Especially in Ireland.
It's for your best fucking pint, because
you go to an Irish pub, all the workers are Irish.
Yeah, exactly. And there's the worst thing for the fucking whole stereotype thing is the Americans. I can say, I can qualify the English people because it's a thing, but everyone has Irish family. But the second you dive in and you go in saying like I'm American Irish, fuck off. Not having that.
I can't remember the comedian that said it. He said that the audience is a genius. They decide if something's funny or not. If the audience laugh, it's funny. If they don't laugh, it isn't.
Thing is, though, that's just reading the room, though, isn't it?
Yeah. And rooms change. And we'll come into that rooms are different. There are different venues you play. There's different types of room you play. From you three guys, are there subjects or jokes you wouldn't tell? Why wouldn't you tell them?
For me, no, because I'm gonna challenge every single barrier and wall that there is.
So you've got to know your subject matter, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, the thing is though, if you make a subject matter an issue, or a problem, then you feed that problem.
Yeah.
So if I do not joke or address that issue or that problem, then that just, it just quietly feeds that.
It's like the elephant in the room, then, isn't it?
Yeah, and then it becomes the elephant in the room. It's like, oh, why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you doing this?
Jay's Tinder
here's something you guys are going to encounter when you're doing more on the open mic circuit. I'd never heard of it before, but nearly every booker I get now sends me out something called a primer. Now, primer is a little document, and it's full of really useful information, like where is the venue, what time do we need you to arrive, how we sort out running order, best places to park, that sort of stuff.
Is it like a comedic fluffer?
Mate, if there were fluffers at gigs, I'd be going to a gig every single night, not one a week, all right? Because I bloody need the action.
Shut up, you could only manage one a week anyway.
Hey, mate,
I do.
I can still blow dust out the end of it, so don't you worry. I'll find a way. But in the primers, all the primers I've seen down here on the South Coast, it'll actually say, right, but we do not accept blatantly sexist gags, misogynistic gags, racism, blah, blah, blah. And then it's followed up by a little tag saying, basically, don't be a dick. So you've already been forewarned by bookers what kind of material they don't want to see.
It takes the dick off me. It's like you not being a dick. That's basically saying just don't be a comedian, just don't be a comic. Because the whole idea of being a comic is that you make fun of shit that's not fucking funny. But to the vast majority of people, it's not fucking funny. The vast majority of people, it might be their fucking way of life. But you've got to touch the edge of shit that's not the aspect of things. It's not funny. It's a joke about it. Make it fucking funny. Make it a thing that we.
Like what Ricky Gervais says, isn't it? It's you can joke about rape, but it doesn't mean you're laughing at rape.
Yeah,
it's the context. I think is what he.
It is very much the context.
He does a really good 10 minutes on it.
But the more we discuss the shit that's not funny, the more we discuss is like why it's not funny. So it's like the more we discuss everything that like shouldn't be right in the world is like people should be saying like, oh shit, this is something that's a thing that should get locked down. And the more we highlight issues like fucking pedophilia or inducting people into the sex world, to get into the countries and shit like that.
I mean, it's not as though I don't think the bookers are trying to constrain humour and what have you. Remembering these guys know the venue. They know where you're performing. They know the kind of audience that turns up. When we did our very basic training, the beginner's course, we were taught that perfect trinity of comedy that is connection, performance, material.
Yeah.
And we did the ridiculous example of you're doing a late night drunken gig with a bunch of guys out on a stag night compared to doing a gig to a bunch of Catholic nuns. You adapt your material to the connection. And I think that's what the primer's there to do, is it gives you a heads up of this is the kind of crowd you're going to get in the room. So all they're trying to do is give you the best possible chance to succeed in that room.
Yeah, so that's good then. That's a bit of a heads up is always useful, isn't it?
It's like the difference between a conservative club compared to a proper rowdy bar. It's just letting you know what the people in the room are really up for.
And I can get that. I can understand it. It's just equally like, let me do my own stuff. Like, oh yeah, you're saying that this is the thing here. It gives me the opportunity to throw out a cheeky little one that might be out of the realms of their enjoyment, whatever.
Yeah. Well, considering
once you're up there, they can't stop you, can they? If you want to throw in a curveball,
fucking can't stop me.
They
Exactly.
can walk out middle set and take half the audience with them, because I've seen that plenty of times. Thankfully, not to me, but I've seen them walk out and take half the audience with them.
Really? Wow.
Oh, hell yeah. Considering we've just said we are allowed to make our own spin and find our own humour in things. Last time we saw you, Dan, you set a subject. So we had to do a 1-minute challenge. So let's throw Jamie under the bus then. What subject were you given, mate?
eBay.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting his brand new material. 60 seconds or more, if you're ready, mate, on eBay.
So eBay. It's the newest post-COVID holiday destination for people from Yorkshire. Did you go to Skegness this summer? No, I went to eBay, mate. But seriously, I don't know anything else on the planet that gives you a way to buy the thing that you never knew that you didn't need. I mean, who knew I needed those dozen gold-plated curtain hooks? Or...
He's seen my shopping history.
No, mate, I'm going to buy you some Wi-Fi. That's what I'm going to do. I mean, if I were a dog and I could use eBay, I'd use it to buy an extra penis. That way I literally would be a dog with 2 dicks. Or I wonder if cats could buy back the lives or trade them in for catnip. So I wonder if throughout history, if eBay had been available throughout history, what would people have bought? And I've just got a couple of examples. I thought Henry VIII, he could have bought his very own DIY divorce kit. Or
that solves a lot of fucking problems.
Alternatively, a Book of Mormon. He could have changed religion. I think Hitler, he could have sold his Mein Kampf, and he could have bought some books on how to make friends and influence people.
I wonder where the fuck that was going then.
See, I pulled that back in.
On an episode about cancel culture, and he comes out with a bloody Hitler gag.
Gordon Ramsay making a killing, selling swear boxes. And Farley Antondeck, well, they're buying and selling anything past the sell-by date.
Tiny.
Nice.
So that's me.
Okay.
Oh, mate, there's one you want to add. And again, we do this in the green room, donating gags to each other. Henry VIII, how to create your own religion kit. Since he ended up making the Catholics, making the Church of England out of it.
Yeah.
Am I not London Island? Well, Northern Ireland. Am I not London, Northern Ireland? No.
But so going back to the subject, okay, is there anything that would stop you from telling a joke?
No.
Nothing.
No. Full on. No, because to me, a joke is a joke. It's no matter how untasteful it is or whatever, there is literally nothing that I can think of at this moment in time.
And I want to make sure I'm clear here. I'm not saying about writing a joke. I mean stopping you from telling a joke.
No. Again, no. Because a joke is a joke.
Exactly, yeah.
And
let me give you a couple of examples, because I have pulled back from telling jokes, and it goes back into our beginner's course. So things that have made me pull back from telling a joke. Number one, the room. I mean, if I'm doing a lunchtime gig and there's loads of kids in the room and my punchline is dependent on a load of effing and jeffing, I'm pulling that joke back. Because I'm not going to be swearing in the middle of a bloody Bernie in front of a bunch of kids. Yeah, I'm going to pull that joke out of it. Reading the room. If I'm middle on and somebody's told a joke that is, very similar subject matter to myself, and I see they get a really bad reception from the audience, I'll pull that joke. and I'll go back to other punchlines. You know, it is that double reading the room of what is my venue, who's in my audience, and what's landing well. That has caused me to pull back from telling them I've written it, I will use it somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I will it's like I'm not going to tell most of my material on the one show.
Yeah. See now that you said that, obviously I'm not getting like hired to do a comedy act for a kids show.
Yeah. As we said last week, mate, we love
one of the injustices of the world.
Equally, if someone does hire me to do a kids show,
You're going to give it
where
to
the
them.
parents are. But you know, for me personally, like for all of my jokes, I don't think there's ever going to be a thing that is going to stop me from doing my joke, because I mean, obviously depending on the room and what have you.
Yeah.
But ultimately, my jokes are my jokes. If you hire me, knowing who I am, but equally, obviously, I'm going out there doing, like pushing who I am.
Yeah.
But I think if you know who I am, then you're willing to take the full bullet of who I am.
I mean, there's another thing that plays on my mind, and maybe it's just me. There's certain gags that I don't write, and there's only one reason why I don't write them, and that's because I don't have enough knowledge to write an intelligent joke about it.
Yeah.
So, for example,
What
I'm not going to write.
Jokes don't you write?
Well, so for example, I'm not going to write Jewish jokes because I don't know enough about the Jewish religion, but I'll do most of Christian religion. You know, I'll take the piss out of Catholics, Baptists, Protestants, what have you. But again, I'm not going to tell a Mormon joke because I don't understand the Mormon religion enough. Apart from in the old days, they used to have, polygamy and multiple marriages. I don't have enough knowledge to make an intelligent joke out of it. And I'm not going to write. Oh God, I suppose I'm not going to write many jokes about something I've got no lived experience in. So I'm not going to, tell a joke about multiple sclerosis because I don't know anything about it, rather than it instantly falling into being a lazy stereotype.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, I think, Jay. But I don't think that's necessarily because it's offensive.
No.
I think
like you say.
But if I did write that stuff, it could come across as offensive purely from a point of ignorance.
Yeah. It could be clumsy.
Yeah, but then I think in the joke that you're writing, though, it would come up as clearly offensive, and it was just like, "Oh, mate, you actually don't know anything about what you're joking about." So
let's
I
have
think
a chat
the
about
joke wouldn't actually land. I mean, the punchline might land, but the joke wouldn't.
And let's have a chat about some of the big cancel culture stories over the years. Right. So, and these will be things that most people will remember. And let's start with the obvious one, because it was only a couple of weeks ago. That of Chris Rock getting slapped round the chops for a joke he told. Regardless of what happened, what did you think of his joke?
It was great. It was classic. It was, if anything, it was empowering. It was empowering a black woman to do a bold person's role, going off what she had. I honestly think it was a great joke. I only think it was fine. There was no issues to it.
I can't remember what it was now. What did he actually say?
He was saying
that she should be playing G.I. Jane.
Yeah.
G.I. Jane too.
See, I don't actually see that as offensive to anyone with alopecia at all.
Don't see it as offensive.
I see it as completely disengaged from the condition.
And the weirdest thing as well is that Chris Rock actually worked with Jada Smith on Madagascar as well.
Yeah, a few times, I think.
So they obviously had that sort of connection that it could have been a thing that he could have joked about as well.
It
wasn't like a flash in the pan thing.
I mean, I think for me, it was he right to write the joke? Absolutely. Did he have the right to tell the joke? Absolutely. But I think he made a couple of mistakes. Number one, the big mistake he made was if he'd done that in a stage show and they were sat in the audience, fine and dandy. This was during the Oscars.
Yeah.
This is where you've got an international audience where you're going to have so many woke people in your global audience watching it.
That's it.
It was also, if he had actually made reference to, there's an advantage to alopecia because look, you can now play so and so. There were so many more tidy ways he could have written the joke. I thought it was an okay joke. I think it was just very, very poorly executed.
The thing is, though, there's so many more highly offensive ways he could have done that.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
And that was his way of doing it. And afterwards, there was so many more offensive shit that he could have said to brought up all of the issues and everything else. That's not the way to deal with it. Not the way to deal with it.
And the irony is Will Smith got his hair off more than she did.
Oh God! No, and let's not hide the elephant in the room.
The thing is, though,
there is no excuse.
What irritates me the most about it, and I love Will Smith. I had so much respect for him from doing everything that he did, how he acted in
Wild Wild West.
In the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, a lot of the issues he raised and the way that he acted within that series was phenomenal, and the comedy that he brought was amazing. How he acted with all the other multiple roles that he's done, Men in Black, Bad Boys, everything, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. He's done amazing things. And then he laughs at a joke, looks at his wife, sees the issue, and then slaps the fellow who said...
Well, that's the thing, that he actually laughed before. So I blame her, really.
That is what has made me lose so much respect for him as a person.
The way his face changes, because her face was like thunder.
Isn't that
for acting like a dick?
Isn't that the bigger joke, though? Because, we've all been through it when somebody says something about our missus, we laugh. We realise we're in shit, so we go, oh no, it's not funny anymore. And you start thinking, that's the bigger joke that came out of it.
No, this is where you should stand by your guns. Fuck it, it's a funny joke. And address it as a joke. It's a joke. It's not a serious thing. He's not, like, Chris isn't turning around saying, like, oh no, mate, you should be fucking,
It's not like he was calling her the slag that she is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Can you imagine oh shit, Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me. Oh, I hope everyone else who hasn't fucked Jade is gonna fucking slap me because Jesus, I'll be the only pink black fella in the world. He didn't say something like that.
But we do have to conclude with this particular example. Will Smith's reaction completely inexcusable. You do not respond to a joke with violence. That's just fucking out of order.
Totally. I don't get how this isn't a thing. Like, he goes around saying like, he's banned from the Oscars. He's banned from the Oscars for
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, nice one. Anyone else who just goes up to someone and just slaps him and gets locked into jail for like 2. Yeah.
Disproportionate again. Of they should have dealt with it on the night and they were pathetic at it. So now we've got to do something.
Apparently, like the security were wanting to throw him out. They were like, "Oh no, you can't."
Now there's another guy. There's another guy. How many of us can turn round to a bouncer and go, "Well, I know you want to throw me out, but I'm staying."
Yeah, but no, hang on. In fairness, Will Smith did save us from an alien invasion, so he got a free pass.
Yeah, but equally, he did fucking Wild Wild West. So you can fucking
And if I
Wild
was
Wild
that
fuck
bouncer,
off.
I'd be remembering Wild Wild West. It's okay. Another example. Again from this year. Jimmy Carr, his Dark Materials, the Netflix special. Suddenly there was an outcry about his joke about the Holocaust stroke, the gypsy community. Go on then, have at it, boys.
Personally, don't think it was as dark as it was. Right? He said it was his darkest stuff. Don't think it was.
Two things get me about it, and this is Saunders' take, nobody else's. Number one, why are you complaining about it 8 weeks after it was released?
Yeah.
Number two, it was in his final segment of the show called Career Enders. I've heard him tell far worse jokes than that.
Personally, I think if you go to someone like Jimmy Carr and you say, I got offended, you shouldn't have gone to fucking Jimmy Carr.
Now, do you know what? I was going to bring that up because it's one of the great tips we got from Jay Sodegar, isn't it? He said the worst way to learn stand-up is watching DVDs or watching Netflix specials because you don't learn, because you've gone to see that comedian. The people that
equally, I think there are these twats who just go out there and just go like, "Oh, I went to McDonald's and I got a shit burger." Oh, I'm offended. Like, come on, mate! You fucking went to McDonald's. Cop the fuck on. Like,
I personally hate Roy Chobby Brown. So guess what I do about it?
Hate him. Yeah,
I don't watch him. I don't watch him.
No, I still watch him. I don't like it. I watch it, and like every now and then, I'll see a funny thing, and I'll just go, "Oh, yeah, that was all right," and then just back to the regular shit. But I will watch everything. I mean, I watched Twilight.
Oh dear God, man!
And do you know what? I fucking quite like it.
Oh my God! Right, can we get paramedics to Gabe's house now?
No, not being funny, right? As a vampire films go, not too bad.
This one has a memory for me, but I'm now going to embarrass myself. I'm going to ask the question. What year were you guys born?
1982.
82, so you won't remember it, Jamie?
76.
Okay.
76, you might remember it. Dan?
I won't remember it. I'm youngest.
You puppy. This has been going on for years. And when we talk about true cancel...
I was Irish 82, don't forget. Like,
yeah, that's only
which is like fucking 1876.
But this cancel culture thing, it didn't have the label. But 1993 was one of the biggest cancels there was. And that was Julian Clary at the UK Comedy Awards.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was broadcast live. They had set the stage up to look like a little forest. He walked onto the stage saying, "I'm so glad you've made me feel at home by recreating Hampstead Heath for me." That got a lovely little laugh in the room. And then he follows it up with, "In fact, I've just been round the corner fisting Norman Lamont." Norman Lamont was the Chancellor of Exchequer at the time under the Thatcher administration. And he was cancelled from broadcast television for 9 years because of that one joke.
Wow.
Oh, can you imagine being cancelled from the BBC for fucking a guy?
Well, that was ITV.
Well,
that was ITV back then.
All right. Oh, so ITV had better culture standards than the BBC, because
I think what it was,
not being funny, for the BBC, if he was underage, it'd have been fine.
Well, I think the thing was, it was twofold. It was, number one, we don't do gay humour like that. We don't want to hear about gay sex acts. And number two, it was the first time a TV audience had heard the phrase fisting, and we didn't have Urban Dictionary back then.
But underage stuff is fine.
They took all of Julian Clary's shows and gave them to Jimmy Savile.
Oh!
I'd say offensive material's a bit of a two-edged sword thinking about it, because as offensive as it is, it's also, it makes people look into the material. I'd say it's educational. So things like Stan Boardman when he did his.
What the hell are you saying, young man?
What?
When
So
he
I
did-
think, so you're thinking then when he did that fisting joke back in the 70s, people were there thinking,
What's
I wonder
fisting?
what fisting. And then they're
I
talking.
must ask my-
Obviously, they couldn't Google it back then, so they was there
I
talking
must ask
about
my
it. at
teacher about
work the next
fisting
day.
tomorrow in my geography lesson.
But it depends if they go to a Catholic school. They might get a practical.
Yay.
There's a reason why it's called sex education, not sex training at school.
Well, going back to Stan Boardman and his, I know we were talking about punching down earlier, the Germans bombed the chip shops and all that, but he was saying
Yeah.
about the Fokkers, wasn't he? The Fokker Wolves.
The Fokkers, yes.
And he got taken off.
Yeah, because it was too close to Fokker.
Yeah.
That was the only reason but that was on a 5 p.m. TV show immediately after the children's TV had stopped. He knew he was saying a funny joke, but that needed to
Exactly.
be sort of like
I think it's the
7,
context
8
as
p.m.
well and the timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's
I
about
think
reading the
there's-
room, isn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It's connection, isn't it? So it's the timing, because you could say that. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember a few months ago now. Just when, what was the Hollywood actor that accidentally shot someone? I forget his name. Alec Baldwin, was it?
Alec Baldwin, yeah.
So I remember Jay put something on his Facebook saying, and at the time Daniel Craig had just done the last James Bond, and he put Alec Baldwin, License to Kill. Something
I
along
want to
those
say,
lines.
Jay, before I get the Twitter hate, that was Jay Sodegar, not Jay Saunders. So please direct any comments to that to Jay Sodegar's Twitter channel. It's going to get some business now.
But I didn't find that offensive at all. But yeah, some of the reactions, people.
Oh God, it was horrible.
It was literally like the next day it happened, and people were quite angry about it. Some people, it was quite shocking, really,
I
how
found it
people
funny
were
as
so
well.
offended by that.
There's two things that I will forever love in the world, like Guinness and the
Alec
ability of the UK and the Irish people to make massively insensitive jokes about an issue that happened an hour ago.
Oh God, yeah. And we need it. Here's a question then, since we're all veterans, do you think that our line is different? Because let's face it, we've seen horrible shit, we've gone through horrible situations and what have you, and we rely on dark humor to get us through those moments. So do we have a different line that may upset people?
I don't think we have a different line. I think we have just like our line that we do. Like one of the lines in the in the gig that we did on Sunday, all together.
Yeah.
My whole thing about the MOD's idea. Oh, what is it? Was it the MOD's? I forget the name
Idea
now.
of aftercare.
Aftercare, yeah, the MOD's aftercare is a strong, sturdy bar in your wardrobe. That to me is a very cathartic joke because one of the big issues from my PTSD is the fact that I found my best friend at the time hanging in his wardrobe. Yeah, it was a big kickoff for me. But
and there's so many civvies that, well, I'm going to use civvies. I'm tarring them all with the same brush here. There are certain politically motivated individuals saying you have no right to tell that joke because you're belittling suicide. Whereas it's exactly the opposite. It's raising awareness of bloody hell, this shit happens.
Yeah.
An issue that really hits more more service people and more ex-service people than anyone else in the entire world, which in itself is a massive fact.
I'm going to break it up a bit now, guys, because what I'm going to do, I'll do my 1 minute set if you're happy, which is actually probably 2 minutes.
So you're throwing me under the fucking buses.
I was just going to say that.
Nice. I see what you're fucking doing. I see what you're doing.
We're leaving the family-friendly set to the end of the show.
Yeah. I was just going to say that being in the military is a little bit like a blowjob, isn't it?
Go on.
The closer you get to discharge, the better you feel.
Please tell me you're using that in your next set.
Like it.
So I was given by Dan Elon Musk. So this is what I created. I noticed that it's now cool to take the piss out of billionaires. And I fucking need to be cool. So who better to have a pop at than Elon Musk? I mean, I did some research into him and I now realise I can't take the piss out of him. Why? Because I'm scared that I'm a trailer trash version of Elon Musk. I mean, we both coded a computer game when we were 12. He sold his for $500 to a computer magazine. I tried to sell mine in my local supermarket on cassette tapes. Yes, I am that old. I mean, he's a nerd. I'm a geek. There's a fucking difference. Nerds create. Geeks simply use shit invented by nerds. I mean, I can make you an amazing infographic, but I need the nerds to create Adobe Illustrator. It's like the difference between making love to a supermodel or having a wank to a porno mag you found in a hedge. I mean, he made a cameo on The Simpsons. I was only on an episode of Surprise, Surprise. So I guess I win that one because I got a hug off of Holly Willoughby. I mean, we're both fascinated with space, but we're both capable of making an exciting topic fucking boring. I mean, people want Star Wars. We get a semi talking about thrust vectors. Yeah. People expect James T. Kirk. We give them Tim Peake. And I fucking love Tim Peake. I mean, Elon is reported to have $274 billion. That's the number of excuses I have on why I'm still single. He wants to form a colony on Mars. I just want to send people that piss me off there. By the way, that's why I'm going to make the only security there the RAF regiment. His son has an unpronounceable, illogically spelt name. My middle name is Welsh. I mean, he supports loads of charities. Charities keep me alive. Right. He's got 81 million followers on Twitter. I win again. Far more than 81 million people ignore me on Twitter. So, clearly I'm in no place to be insulting billionaires. He's weird. I'm fucking mental. He's hyper successful. I'm only an open mic comic. What I should be doing is working on a way to get Elon to sponsor Project Comedy. Well, I'm not sure about Gabe or Jamie. Right, in that case, Mr. Musk, I'm seeking a £10,000 investment for a 20% stake in my comedy career. And I'm willing to negotiate occasional blowies to secure a deal. Thank you for your attention.
I'm liking the fact that you added in the occasional blowies because I'm not being funny. I was fucking fuming at the fact that you wouldn't come to me for fucking help.
Let's take a minor break so we can show people how they can join Project Comedy.
Are you a veteran, or even still serving, and think you'd like to give stand-up comedy a go? Then why not join us in Project Comedy? Visit the Project Recce website, that's projectrecce.org, then click on how it works. You'll find a Register Here button in the Project Comedy section. Fill that in, and the HQ staff will soon get you connected with the Project Comedy community and its weird and wonderful ambassadors. You'll be invited to our green rooms, where if you want it, we can train you in the basics. If not, you can just come along and have a laugh with us and see what we're up to and what it gives us.
Okay then, guys, let's talk about some topics. I mean, would you write a joke about any of these subjects, or is there a better way that you could actually joke about it rather than write it off?
I would write a joke about all of these subjects before you even said them.
I just did a quick check on a couple of forums, and they were saying these are types of jokes that shouldn't go into your set. This is from a really poor website I was looking at, saying, you should avoid these if you want a good connection.
Shit jokes, Reddit.
Transsexuals. Would you make a transsexual joke?
I think
answer.
I think I did, didn't I? One where I said winning the lottery is like a threesome with 2 Thai girls, 6 balls.
And that's the point.
The point is, I think, as long as it's not actually like discriminating or putting down transgender.
Not punching down.
Yeah.
It is the intent of the joke. It's not to belittle people.
Exactly.
I think as long as
type of person.
As long as you're not pointing fun directly at one person, even Caitlyn Jenner, I think you're fine.
Totally. I mean, there's
I love
one
the silence after that, by the way. As long as it's not Caitlyn Jenner, silence.
And I might leave it in the podcast.
Yeah, obviously you are. Can't.
I mean, there's one I'm actually writing at the moment about transsexuals, because I was watching this guy having a real go about transsexual females, and his entire argument was, well, no, I expect a woman to be able to have children and have a womb. And I'm there going, well, my joke is, well, my mum didn't, so is she no longer a woman? She couldn't have children. She ended up having to have a hysterectomy after 7 miscarriages and adopted me. Does that stop her being a woman? So there are ways you can broach a subject to disagree with people, but actually you're not belittling people by the way you end up playing with the subject matter.
I think we always pull back to the idea of it is a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there are these people who are going through these horrible issues. I mean, back in my day, if you didn't want to be in the body you were in, it was tough shit. It was just, good for you. Unlucky about it. But, and nowadays there's so much people can do, which is semi sort of wonderful, because
it's only within certain people's lifetimes that it was a criminal offence to be a homosexual.
Yeah, but I mean,
true.
I mean, you add in the issue of you're not the person you want to be. I'm not the person I want to be. I want to be this fucking young fella with luscious locks and a 6-pack and
you've got a luscious beard,
defined abs and all this. Like, ultimately, I'm not that. Grand. I can make my peace with that. Ultimately, you've got to make your peace with who you are and who you want to be, and you've got to be the best person you are at the time. But equally, I can understand that you don't want to be who you are.
And I suppose it comes down to that thing of you've got the ability to do it now. People are more accepting now. So unless it's actually hurting you, why should you stop somebody else from being the person they want to be?
Yeah, but I want to be who I want to be, but nobody wants to make a fucking fat cunt, bald, bearded fella. Some massive
Irish is okay.
Rippling Adonis with a fucking beard like ZZ Top.
Being Irish is okay. Being gay is okay. Being bisexual, transgender, straight, it's all okay. It's just wearing Crocs is
No,
not
here's-
fucking.
No, I'm with you 100%. Now, here's one that really pissed me
Wearing
off.
Crocs and socks. Mate.
Here's one that really
Crocs with
pissed me off.
socks. It's not fucking okay. Gay, straight, trans, whatever.
Do you know the worst thing is that everyone is always going on about what you should wear with what, right? If you ever wear trousers with like leather black shoes and white socks, mate, you're a nonce.
Being a nonce is not okay.
And being a nonce is not okay. Lock them all up. I saw a fella on telly today. I was like, mate, lock them up. Lock 'em
Apparently,
up.
there's a trend
Just in
now.
case. Just in case. Like, you might even not be, but just in case, just do it.
Apparently, there's a trend now around the UK to wear tracksuit bottoms with proper leather shoes. Apparently, that is.
Oh,
the
mate,
fashion.
that's been going for years.
Two
That's been
bottoms
going
of
for
leather
years. That was
shoes.
going for when I was fucking round. When I was a kid, it was like tracks up Lacoste fucking tracksuit bottoms and
Adidas
Rockport
poppers.
boots. It was a thing. It was a thing back in the Northwest. Man, that's been going for years. That just goes to show how fucking away from culture you are.
That's wearing shoes with tracksuit bottoms is more awkward than the line of the woman's bathroom at a transgender convention.
Oh, God, here's one that really pissed me off. This really pissed me off. It said you shouldn't make jokes about mental health.
Of course you should.
Fucking right. I mean, it really, really wound me up. Well, unless you suffer, you shouldn't be allowed to tell the joke. Surely everybody's got a right to tell those sort of jokes. So it raises awareness.
The very basis of that thing is that everyone suffers with mental health.
Yeah.
From to some degree. You tell me one person who wakes up happy and everything is going great every single day, and I will point to you the biggest cunt in the world.
I'm with you. We were going to link into now getting Dan to do his 1 minute set, but considering that he's not bothered to read any of his WhatsApp messages from us, he's only interested in his mates. We'll skip past that one.
I just want to say a really good offensive joke by one of my favourite comedians, Anthony Jeselnik. He's brilliant, I think. And I'm just going to read this off my phone, so I'll do it justice. Women are really divided on abortion in this country. Half of them are cool, but the other half I have to drag down there.
Oh, that's brutal. That's brutal. But I don't see that crossing the line.
Who's the Australian fellow who's really fucking...
He's Canadian, I think, but he's brilliant. I haven't done it justice, but...
I know who you mean, Gabe. He looks like a heavy
the Australian fellow who's really divisive.
Jim Jeffries.
He's bipolar as well, but when he's well, his comedy's really shit. But when he's ill, he's really good. Oh, I can't think of who
Jim
it is.
Jeffries.
Well, let
Jim
me ask
Jeffries.
you a question.
Yeah,
Jim Jeffries, brilliant.
he's amazing. I love him.
Stunning.
I feel really bad for this. I love him when he's ill.
Yeah.
Because he's fucking funny and really cutthroat.
What's his name? Example, the musician. He made the comment of when he's really down, his music's really popular, but when he's happy, they hate his music.
Yeah.
And there is the stuff. You brought up the name Jim Jeffries. So here's one for us. Why is it comedians like Frankie Boyle, Jim Jeffries, Bill Burr, why do they get away with the stuff they get away with?
Because I think it's because they bring to light issues that are in contention, and I honestly think like it seems to be the issue of the day. You know, people will jump on it, and they'll go through like histrionic issues that like jokes or whatever, or things that people have said that might be taken out of context, and they'll bring them into the public sector now for the issue now, here and now, and I think it's bad.
For me, it's the fact that they've already got a following. People that turn up to their gigs know what they're about.
Yeah,
100%. The example I'll give of that is Lee Mack. Lee Mack's tagline, when I was listening to on the radio decades ago, was, "I'm cheeky, never blue." He never used to swear on the stage. But once he got his following, then he turned into the Lee Mack we know, and there's no topic, that's off limits for him. He tells the gags he wants. But as he was building his following, he played it down a bit. And then once he got his following, he got his voice, and people go to see his gigs because of it.
Yeah, you can ramp it up, can't you, I guess?
What would you say to this, though? Is comedy regulated, or should it be?
I don't think comedy should ever be regulated.
It can't, can it? It can't be. I think it probably is on TV to a certain degree.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
BBC,
to the channels, and whatever it's like pumping out to, I think it could be regulated. I don't think it ever should be.
Because I'm going to say something controversial here. I actually think comedy is regulated, but it's regulated by the audience. They either find it funny or they don't. You get a booking or you don't. You do your comedy on the stage, you upset a load of people, you're not getting another booking. If people don't laugh, you're not going to get another booking. That's how it's regulated. It's your audience decide, what's acceptable, what's not, and the bookers work with what the audience do.
Yeah, but you can turn around and say like if Frankie Boyle didn't get the audience he got, would he have been the star that he was if he wasn't regulated? And I don't think like if someone's coming out with a joke and it genuinely isn't funny and what have you, I think it's going to go to public opinion. But I honestly can't think that you can say that comedy. I mean, how many things can you say are regulated?
Yeah.
And in that way of like
the wife makes me regulate. The wife regulates the amount of times I touch her.
No, I mean, just like in anything else as well. Like your aftercare of life. I mean, like how many times am I going to say that I am in pain and someone's going to give me pain medication before they say that I've had enough?
On the phrase of "have we had enough?" Let's take our standard children's entertainer, Gabe. Would you like to give us your 1 minute set?
So my minute set was on energy prices. A lovely topic for me. So the government's advice on soaring energy prices is like use less energy. Other advice from the government on depression: be happy. Any low income issues? Just earn more. On feminine products being taxed, be a guy. and finally, too many people don't think you're a cunt, be a Tory. Boris plans on tackling this by giving us nuclear power. The guy that habitually lies, can't comb his hair, will give us nuclear fucking power. I would feel safer being a 13-year-old in the care of Jimmy Savile. Gary Glitter and the prince formerly known as Andrew. Boris kind of reminds me of the daytime TV quiz show contestant. You know, the guy that gets fucking out first because he's thick as a discharge from someone who's got a fucking yeast infection. He's the kind of a cunt that would look like he should be wearing a fucking foam helmet. Alternative energy help is available for the cost that if you of the energy that if you had the use of the next 40 years. And all of this is to save the planet. Whilst America is telling everyone to fuck right off because they're driving massive cars and shit. Doris, bless her, is doing her bit by buying solar panels. Like solar energy in England is going to stop her from getting hypothermia. It's just a shame that you can't get Granny to stick around in the granny sickles. So when she's around in the heat waves in the summer, and that was it. The Granny Sickles punchline.
Oh, the Granny Sickle. Now I get it.
The Granny Sickles in summer.
Look, and we've just proven the point that the actual comedy circuit, you can say that set, you could quite easily say in any stand-up comedy club, any open mic gig around the country. It's nowhere near as doom and gloom as people think it is, because I've seen every one of you, come out with dark material and what have you. It's not as bad as people want you to believe, is it?
I honestly think the whole comedy circuit thing, I think with like 1 minute bits that we've done, I think it proves that the fact that it can land. People genuinely want to hear anything that is funny. So I honestly think, and like Jay Sadagar says, just get out there and gig, and get out there and do what you are doing because it's fun. Because it is fucking fun.
And that's the point, isn't it? It's sort of like for anybody interested in getting involved in stand-up, get out and see a few open mic nights, and you will see the kind of jokes that are being told on the circuit. And don't think it's like the TV. Don't think it's like a Netflix special. People are joking about some really dark stuff, and they're making jokes land and entertaining people. Well, we'll close it off at that. I mean, comedy is supposed to be fun, even though we've talked about a moderately serious subject. Hopefully, you've all had a laugh at our banterings about it. Can I thank my amazing ambassador co-hosts, Gabe, Jamie, and Dan? Thanks so much, guys.
Yay.
You've been brilliant. And we'll tie off as we do with some social links and how you can follow us.
Time to go to bed.
If you want to see what we're actually like on stage, please have a look at our YouTube channel. Search for Project Comedy, Veterans Doing Stand-Up, and look for our black and white logo that's exactly the same as the one we use for this podcast. You can also now follow us on Twitter. We can be found at Proj Comedy. That's at PROJ Comedy. And me, Jay Saunders, I can be found on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter if you look for Comic J Saunders. That's all one word with the letter J in the middle. Comic J Saunders. Thanks again to everyone that's taken part in this episode. Until next time. Thanks for listening to the Project Comedy Podcast. Please support our veterans as they continue their comedy journeys. To find out more, including gigs our veterans are doing, please search for the Project Comedy group on Facebook, where you'll also find links to Project Recce, the veterans charity that makes Project Comedy possible.